The signal from Eloria, the planet Eloria, glimmered in the void of space, its oceans shimmering under two distant suns. Unlike most worlds, its civilization thrived beneath its water-covered surface. The Elorians, a delicate yet intelligent species with translucent skin and gill-like structures, had built vast cities that glowed like jewels beneath the waves. Life here had always been peaceful. Knowledge, art, and harmony were the only wars fought in their culture. But today, the harmony shattered. Kaelira, a young commander of the Elorian defense fleet, raced through the water tunnels of the capital city, her limbs propelling her faster than her heart could keep pace. Above, strange shadows flickered across the water's surface. Orbital platforms they had relied on for centuries were exploding, sending shockwaves that tore apart delicate coral towers. Ships that were once her fleet, the proud Elorian guardians, were now nothing but debris scattered across the abyss. "What is happening?" Kaelira shouted as she arrived at the central command hub. The room was alive with panic. Elorians darted between consoles, their skin flashing vibrant reds and yellows in fear. Kaelira forced herself to calm her breath. If she panicked, everything would collapse. She took her place at the main console and demanded a status report. Vion, her second-in-command, flickered pale blue with worry. "Commander, our fleet. It's gone. All 12 defense ships destroyed within the first hour. The orbital shields held for 30 more minutes, but they are falling. The attackers, they call themselves the Draxan Dominion." Kaelira's gills fluttered. She had studied the history of the Draxan, a ruthless empire that had conquered countless civilizations. No species had ever stood against them successfully. Do they give us any choice?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vion hesitated, then shook his head. "They demand surrender, or our cities will be annihilated." The young commander's mind raced. Negotiation was impossible. The Draxans never sought peace. There was only one thing left. Kaelira activated the communication system and broadcasted a message in every language she could reach across all frequencies, hoping desperately for help. "This is Commander Kaelira of Eloria. Our world is under attack. Our defenses are destroyed. We are peaceful and incapable of fighting back. If any species can hear this, we beg for assistance. We have no payment to offer, only gratitude and friendship. Please help us." Hours passed. Response after response came from nearby civilizations. Refusals. Some claimed fear of the Draxans, others cited non-interference policies. 16 attempts and 16 refusals. The weight of abandonment pressed heavily upon Kaelira's heart. Then, at the edge of their system, something appeared on sensors. Something unfamiliar. A vessel unlike any they had seen before. The translation software finally identified it. "Human," whispered Vion. "Humans. The so-called Deathworlders, a species whose home planet was a crucible of extreme gravity, brutal storms, and ferocious predators, a people that somehow survived, thrived, and adapted. Whispers about them in the galactic archives spoke of unmatched determination and courage. And now a human fleet was coming to their aid, one ship, then another, then dozens more. 37 human warships appeared, their silhouettes massive and unmistakably designed for battle. A calm, confident voice came through the communication system, perfectly translated into Elorian. "Commander Kaelira, this is Captain Elias Monroe of the human warship Resolute. We received your distress call. Hold your position. Help is coming. That is all the reason we need." For the first time in hours, Kaelira allowed herself a flicker of hope. She watched as humans, creatures from a planet that should have crushed them before life could even begin, moved with precision and purpose to save her people. Above the planet, the Draxan commander Vornak was enjoying a rare moment of triumph. His fleet surrounded the planet, confident in imminent victory. That moment shattered when his sensors pinged multiple contacts at the system's edge. Warships, human warships, were approaching at speeds his intelligence could not calculate. "Humans," he barked. "Impossible! How can they reach here so quickly? They should not even exist." And as the human fleet drew closer, Vornak felt the first prickle of fear. Across the galaxy, a new lesson would be learned. Humanity fights not for greed or conquest, but for those who cannot protect themselves. The cry for help, the planet. Zarathus glowed faintly beneath its twin suns. A vast desert world punctuated by towering cities that floated above the sands on anti-gravity platforms. The sky shimmered with heat, and the wind carried mineral dust across endless dunes, painting the planet in hues of amber and gold. The Zarathians, a tall and slender species with pale reflective skin, moved with fluid grace, their large eyes shimmering in the sun. Peace had ruled this world for centuries. Science, art, and harmony guided their civilization, and war had become a distant memory, a tale for history lessons rather than a reality. Commander Leora Vey, head of planetary security, was patrolling the central city of Talaris when the first warning arrived. Sensors had detected movement in orbit, unidentified ships moving faster than any Zarathian vessel could match. At first she dismissed it as a calibration error. Nothing in Zarathus's peaceful history had prepared her for an invasion. Then the sky changed. Red streaks tore across the horizon as energy beams lanced from the orbiting shapes above. Leora's heart sank as she saw the first orbital platforms disintegrate in fire and sparks. Shockwaves rippled through the floating cities, sending debris and terrified citizens scattering. Her comms crackled with the panicked voices of junior officers reporting multiple breaches across the northern perimeter. The attackers were swift, efficient, and unrelenting. The Kryn Dominion, muttered Leora almost to herself. She had read their history in the galactic archives. Conquerors, slavers, and merciless killers who swept through civilizations that dared to resist. No species had ever stood against them successfully, and now they had chosen Zarathus. Her fleet was already in position in orbit, 12 sleek warships meant to patrol the skies and protect the cities. The first salvo of Kryn projectiles had already shattered 3 of them. Leora's mind raced as she activated the planetary defense grid. Shields flared to life, illuminating the cities below with blue arcs of energy. But it was too little, too late. Within an hour, half her fleet lay in ruins, their wreckage tumbling across the void. "Commander Vey, the orbital defenses are falling," cried Talon Rix, her second in command. His voice sharp despite the fear rippling through his reflective skin. "They are tearing through the city above. Casualties are rising. We cannot hold them back." Leora's hands clenched at the console. "We must protect the civilians at all costs. Activate all civilian shelters and begin evacuation protocols. Prepare the remaining fleet for emergency sortie. Do not let them break through." But even as she spoke, the truth was undeniable. Zarathus had no hope against such overwhelming firepower. Their cities, beautiful and fragile, could not withstand sustained bombardment. Leora looked out at the horizon as energy lances sliced through the atmosphere. Families fled, children screamed, and the wind carried the cries across the sands. Desperation clawed at her. The Kryn were not negotiators. They demanded surrender, and if denied, they destroyed everything in their path. Leora knew what she had to do. "Open all communications," she ordered, her voice firm despite the chaos. Talon looked at her with disbelief. "To say what, Commander? We have nothing to bargain with. They will destroy us regardless." "We are not negotiating," Leora said. Her voice was calm but unwavering. "We are calling for help." The command hub was silent as Leora activated the interstellar broadcast system. Her words, carefully translated into every language stored in the Zarathian archives, poured out into the galaxy. "This is Commander Leora Vey of Zarathus. Our world is under attack by the Kryn Dominion. Our defenses are destroyed. Our people are dying. We are a peaceful civilization with no capacity to resist this aggression. We are begging any species within range of this message to help us. We have no payment to offer except our gratitude and friendship. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need assistance immediately." For long minutes, nothing came. Only the hum of consoles and the distant echoes of panic filled the command hub. Then replies began trickling in from nearby civilizations. "We cannot intervene. Too risky," said one. "Non-interference policy prevents action," said another. "Distance is too great. Our fleets cannot respond in time," said the third. 16 refusals. 16 chances to save a civilization all turned away. Leora's chest tightened with every denial. The galaxy, she realized, had abandoned them. She was about to shut down the communication system when Talon froze, pointing at the sensor array. "Commander, there is something at the edge of the system. Multiple contacts, ships they are, accelerating toward us at impossible speeds." Leora leaned closer. The translation software struggled at first, then finally revealed what she already hoped. "Human," whispered Talon. "Humans. The species from the so-called Deathworld, feared across the galaxy for surviving a planet of crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, and deadly predators. They were young, strong, and unpredictable, and yet they had somehow mastered the stars." The human fleet appeared slowly at first, a single massive warship named Vigilant leading dozens more. 37 human warships moved in perfect formation, their silhouettes massive and unmistakably designed for war. On the communications channel, a clear, calm, authoritative voice spoke. "This is Fleet Captain Marcus Kane of the human warship Vigilant. Commander Leora Vey, we received your distress call. Hold your position. Help is coming. That is all the reason we need." Relief swept through Leora, but it was mixed with awe. These creatures from a world that should have been lethal to life itself were here to save them. They did not hesitate. They did not question. They acted. In orbit, the Kryn commander, Zirek Voran, studied his displays with growing unease. His fleet had crushed the Zarathian defenses without effort. He had expected no resistance beyond weak orbital satellites, and yet the sensors now pinged something impossible. 37 warships moving faster than any known propulsion system, all broadcasting human codes. Impossible, Voran spat. How can they be here? They should not exist. His officers exchanged uneasy glances. "Sir, they are humans," one whispered. "Deathworlders. Known for surviving extremes no species should endure, and they are coming for us." Voran's confidence faltered for the first time in his life. Stories of humanity had always been dismissed as legend or exaggeration. Now the legends were real and they were approaching in full force. Below on Zarathus, Leora watched as the human fleet positioned itself between the Kryn and her planet. The humans made no demands, they made no threats, they simply moved with lethal purpose, ready to defend the innocent. "They are unlike anything we have faced," Talon murmured. I do not understand how they survive, let alone fight." "They survive because they refuse to quit," Leora replied, her eyes scanning the horizon. "And now, our people will live because they refuse to quit for us." The first human ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, each vessel massive and bristling with weaponry designed for maximum efficiency. Their flagship Vigilant bore markings of Earth's past, mountains, oceans, deserts, all painted across its hull like a warning and a promise. Captain Marcus Kane stood on the bridge, studying the tactical display. 36 other ships mirrored their movements, prepared for battle. Every crew member knew the stakes: protect the innocent, neutralize the threat, survive against impossible odds. They had trained for this. They had evolved for this. Zirek Voran on his flagship, Dreadstorm, clenched his claws. "Open communications," he demanded. "Tell them they are trespassing. Withdraw or be destroyed." The response came instantly. Captain Kane's voice carried across space. "Zirek Voran, you attacked a civilization that asked for help. You have two choices: withdraw or be removed. 10 minutes. Decide wisely." Voran laughed, though it sounded hollow to his own ears. He ordered his fleet to maintain formation, confident in superior numbers and firepower. But as he watched the humans move into position, a sense of dread crept into his mind. Something about these creatures was different, unpredictable, merciless when protecting the weak. Leora's hands trembled on the console. The humans were closing in. She could feel the weight of hope, not just for Zarathus, but for the message it sent across the galaxy. Even when all others abandon you, humanity will answer the call. The countdown ticked. 10 minutes, 9-8. The battle was about to begin. The fate of Zarathus and the legend of humanity would be written in the stars. Humanity's wrath. The void of space above Zarathus seemed endless, dark, and suddenly alive with the hum of approaching engines. The Kryn fleet, massive and imposing, formed a tight orbital blockade, confident in its power. Commander Zirek Voran watched the human ships close in with disbelief. 37 warships, each bristling with kinetic weaponry, laser turrets, and gravitic disruptors, were moving with precision that no Kryn algorithm could predict. "Are they real?" Voran hissed, gripping his console. His officers avoided his gaze. "They are real, sir," one said, voice trembling. "Deathworlders, humans, and they are coming for us." The first salvo erupted almost instantly. Kinetic slugs, solid metal, each several tons in mass, tore through space at unimaginable speeds. Voran had never seen weapons that ignored shields, ignoring even the advanced energy barriers of his flagship. One Dreadstorm destroyer was shredded almost instantly, spinning out of control as the metal slugs punched through its hull. Sparks and debris floated in the darkness as the rest of the Kryn fleet scrambled to respond. "Open fire," Voran bellowed, and energy beams hissed toward the humans. but the fleet moved with deadly discipline. Human shields absorbed the plasma streams. Ships adjusted course mid-flight, dodging, weaving, firing precise counters. The humans were not just tough. They were smart, unpredictable, and relentless. On the bridge of the Vigilant, Captain Marcus Kane surveyed the chaos. His crew moved efficiently, each action precise, each command clear. "Weapon status?" he asked. "All systems green, sir. Slugs loaded, graviton cannons ready, shields holding at full strength," replied Lieutenant Celine Hayes, his tactical officer. "Kryn fire is being absorbed, but we need to maintain constant maneuvers. They are faster than expected in short bursts." "Then we adjust," Kane said calmly. "Target their command ship. Break their formation. Remember, protect the planet. Minimize civilian casualties." In orbit below, Commander Leora Vey watched with awe as the humans executed maneuvers she had never imagined. They moved as a single organism, shielding the cities, intercepting incoming projectiles and striking with surgical precision. Zerathian scientists monitored energy signatures and confirmed what their sensors showed. Human technology was not only effective, it was ingeniously applied. They exploited physics in ways the Kryn could not predict. The Kryn fleet attempted a counterattack, focusing fire on Vigilant. Voran's flagship unleashed every weapon in its arsenal: particle beams, plasma cannons, and missile swarms. One by one, the weapons struck human shields. They should have destroyed the ship instantly, but Vigilant absorbed the hits, shifted graviton fields, and returned fire. A volley of kinetic slugs tore through the Dreadstorm's hull, breaching multiple compartments and sending shockwaves through the enemy ship. Alarms screamed as crew members tried desperately to contain the damage. Voran's confidence wavered. "They are adapting," one officer muttered. "They survive everything we throw at them. They fight for something we do not understand." "They fight for life," Kane said quietly, almost to himself. "And for those who cannot protect themselves." The battle raged. Across space, other human ships flanked the Kryn fleet. Graviton mines pulled enemy ships off course, causing collisions and forcing shields to overheat. Humans targeted propulsion arrays, disabling ships without destroying them unnecessarily. Kane's fleet displayed the perfect combination of raw strength, cunning, and discipline, hallmarks of a species forged on a planet where survival demanded ingenuity. In the midst of the chaos, Leora guided humans through orbital hazards. Floating debris, collapsing platforms, and energy feedback loops threatened both fleets. But the humans followed her instructions with flawless coordination. Civilians in Zerathian shelters watched from observation decks as the sky above lit with explosions, trails of fire and glowing human shields intercepting the deadly Kryn fire. "Commander, they are moving toward us," Voran shouted. He had underestimated the human fleet, thinking that sheer numbers and superior energy weapons would suffice. But humans did not fight like any other species. They anticipated, adapted, and struck where least expected. Kane's voice came over comms, calm and authoritative. "Zyrek Voran, you had your chance. Withdraw now or face total destruction. For every attack on innocent life, we will respond tenfold." Voran's claws tightened. "They are bluffing!" he roared, but his mind told him otherwise. Every volley of slugs, every evasive maneuver, every calculated strike told him that humans were not bluffing. A daring move by Kane sealed the turning point. He ordered Vigilant to dive through a dense asteroid belt near the planet's orbit, using gravitational anomalies to mask their movements. Kryn sensors calibrated for conventional tactics failed to track the human flagship. At the perfect moment, Vigilant emerged behind the Kryn command formation, unleashing a concentrated salvo of slugs and graviton torpedoes. 2 Kryn destroyers disintegrated instantly. Another flagship's engines failed catastrophically. Panic spread through the Kryn ranks. They had never encountered an enemy that struck so decisively, with such daring and with no fear of losses. Kane pressed the advantage. "All ships tighten formation. Target remaining command vessels. Protect the planet. Remember why we fight." Humans moved as one, coordinated and unstoppable. Zyrek Voran, desperate, tried to engage Vigilant directly. He activated all weapons, attempting to obliterate Kane's ship. But humans had anticipated this. Vigilant deployed a decoy array, drawing Voran's fire while smaller strike vessels flanked the Kryn flagship. With a sudden surge, the decoy detonated a gravity pulse that destabilized Voran's ship. Kane's kinetic slugs ripped through critical systems, leaving the Dreadstorm crippled and drifting. Varan had no choice but to retreat, his fleet, once arrogant and unyielding, scattered in disarray. The remaining ships fled the system, their morale shattered. The Terran Deathworlder fleet pursued only long enough to ensure complete disengagement, then pulled back to orbit around Zarathus. On the surface, Leora Vey and her people cheered in disbelief. Their cities had survived. Civilians streamed out of shelters to witness the human fleet standing sentinel in orbit, a living testament to the strength of a species forged under impossible conditions. Kane addressed Leora directly via comms. "Commander Vey, your people are safe. The Kryn will not return soon. We came because you called for help. That is what humanity does. Protect the innocent, fight for life, and answer the call when it is needed most. You are safe now." Tears welled in Leora's eyes. She had read about humans in galactic archives, but she had never truly understood the stories until this moment. They were more than legends. They were hope, courage, and unbreakable will made flesh. As the human fleet departed, moving back toward hyperspace lanes unknown to the galaxy, Zarathus began to rebuild. Fires smoldered in the desert and wounded ships were salvaged. Survivors worked together, inspired not only by the humans' might but also by their principle. Fight not for conquest, but for the weak, the innocent, and those who cannot protect themselves. Messages of gratitude were sent, yet Kane's reply was simple. No thanks necessary. Humanity answers SOS calls wherever we can. Remember that, and be ready to help others when it is your turn. Across the galaxy, whispers spread quickly. The Terran Deathworlder fleet had answered a call from the far reaches, faced a dominant empire, and emerged victorious. Stories of their courage, ingenuity, and honor became legend almost instantly. Aliens from neighboring systems reconsidered the nature of humans, understanding why they were feared and why they were respected. A species shaped by adversity, relentless in the face of danger, and protective of all who could not protect themselves. In the aftermath, Leora stood atop Teleris's central platform, watching the stars where the humans had disappeared. Her voice was soft but certain. They are more than survivors. They are heroes. And as the sun set over the desert dunes, Zarathus began to heal. Humanity's intervention had changed not only the fate of one planet, but the perception of an entire species across the galaxy. A lesson was clear. Never underestimate those who thrive in the harshest worlds. Never doubt those who fight for others. And never forget that even in the darkest hour, hope can arrive from the stars. The Kryn Dominion would remember this day, and the galaxy would never forget humanity.